I don't know. I don't know what it is. Over the past few weeks, I have bought a lot of cards. I have bought a lot of cards, not just like singles to list on the website, but I've bought a lot to work on master sets. I bought a lot for this Destined Rivals master set. I've used eBay. I've used TCG Player. Those are pretty much the two main ones that I've used, and those are probably the two ones that you guys use as well. I've just had a lot of issues. The wrong card being sent condition has been absolutely terrible, or it could be like a mix of both. Like they send me the wrong card and it's terrible condition. I tried finishing the Legendary Collection Master Set. Got a lot of like the wrong card sent, and even this binder right here, ordering a lot of stuff for the master set for the Destined Rivals set that we are giving away to one lucky subscriber. I had somebody, forget what it was, like I ordered something like last week Sunday, and they messaged me Monday and they say, hey, I went out of town. I forgot to hide my TCG Player inventory. I can't ship this for a week. Is that okay? Well, the market changes every day. I was like, nope. Like, can you just refund it then? I don't know. It just seems like there's so many sellers out there. And even if you buy from like verified one, I don't know. There's just issues. I don't know. I don't get it. It is what it is. It's fine. No big deal. We're still working on it. I'm still missing 2 cards that I need to order. I still have not ordered the Moltres, which is, I think, like the 4th most expensive card right now, and the Mewtwo, which is the most expensive card right now. But everything else is either in here or ordered. I got 2 new cards in yesterday. So I got the Full Art Nidoking, and I got the Special Illustration Rare Giovanni. So this has everything in it. All the commons, uncommons, reverse hollows. All the illustration rares are actually in here. It looks really cool with all the illustration rares in it. But I am still missing a few full arts and a couple of special illustration rares. So this is basically how all the special illustration rares look. It looks really cool. The artwork on Destined Rivals is amazing. But I'm still missing a little bit. And as more cards come in, we will finish it up and then we'll give it away to one lucky subscriber. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We're going to wrap up our Destined Rivals content. Not really wrap it up because I'll still have that montage video hopefully next week. And then you guys can look at the pulls and everything. It'll be a fun video hopefully. But we're going to wrap up Destined Rivals content with what we typically do and talk about the price shifts. There's been a lot of talk about prices crashing when it comes to Destined Rivals, and I don't think this is a crash yet. And we're going to go over individually. What we do every single set release is we screenshot the cards on TCG Player as soon as they become available for everybody to sell. So if you don't know this, if you're relatively new to Pokemon or just don't really understand how the secondary market works on TCG Player, basically a new set will start coming out, and when pre-orders go up on TCG Player, the only stores that can put product up on TCG Player are stores that are verified and authorized pre-sale stores. So they have to be eligible from the Pokemon Company International to have pre-release events, and then they need to get verified by TCG Player. They need to have a brick and mortar, which is why you see so few listings for booster boxes, for elite trainer boxes, and for singles prior to a set releases. Once release day hits, it's open season. Anybody can list. A lot of times, a lot of sellers will come in, a lot of collectors will come in, and they'll undercut the market. When there's so few sellers, you get these really weird markets, and you start getting some super expensive cards, like the Rockets Mewtwo, for example, which might only have one sale on TCG Player at $650 or $700, and then all of a sudden that market price gets set. It's a false market because that's not necessarily indicative of what the market actually is or what people are actually willing to pay. That won't really get established until you have a huge amount of supply that hits the market. But that huge amount of supply can't hit until Friday morning or release day, because then you have the secondary market kind of coming in and everybody is eligible to then list on TCG Player. So only the pre-order stores can list prior to release day, which is why there's so few available. And then you have a race to the bottom. We call it a race to the bottom because it's constantly people undercutting each store to be the lowest listing. So that way you get prime space, prime real estate on TCG Player, where a lot of people will go in, they'll sort for the lowest listed, the lowest near mint, and then they'll just add that to the cart when they're buying stuff, especially when it comes to new set releases. So we screenshotted like the top, I don't know, 40 or something like that cards from Destined Rivals that already had a market price established on Friday morning on release day, so that way we could get a good indicator of what the market started at. And then we looked at prices as of last night. So these are prices like 12 hours ago from when I'm recording it. The market does fluctuate a lot, so some of these could already be out of date. But we're going to look at what the price drops actually look like. There's been a lot of people talking about how far prices have crashed and things like that. And outside of like that Mewtwo, for example, which you did have some sales of $650, $700 a couple of weeks before the set released because people were opening them up on pre-release kits and things like that. And a lot of times those sales are because people want to get the first graded. They want to get the first black label. They want to get the first PSA 10. They want the first one that hits the market in PSA 10 condition, because that's when they can maximize their profitability. But it really hasn't. I mean, I don't know. It's like looking at these numbers, I don't flip you around so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Because right now you're just like, Fanny, you're just rambling right now. Like, show us what you're actually talking about right now. So I'm going to, it hasn't been that bad. It is really not that bad at all. I do think it's going to get worse. So we talked about booster boxes last week. Booster boxes probably going to creep up a little bit, and they are creeping up a little bit. We said when we recorded video at the time, the market price was around $240, $245, and we said it should settle kind of at that price point opening weekend, maybe go down a touch, but then start climbing, and it has started climbing. Booster boxes right around $260, $265 right now for the market value, which is crazy expensive. If you haven't watched our video from yesterday where we break down what you are actually expected to pull out of your booster box in terms of value, that's why that's what makes it so difficult to open up a new booster box, especially when you're paying market price. If you can find it at MSRP, that's great, but if you're paying more, if you're paying market price for stuff or close to market price, it does make it more difficult. And I understand there's two different variants, right? Like, you can be a sealed collector, you can be like, well, I'm okay playing closer to market because I'm just going to keep it sealed, and that's fine. But if you're somebody who really wants to open product, paying a premium and paying a closer to market price to rip it open and expecting the value, it just doesn't seem to work out. So we're going to go through these and kind of look over what the price drops actually look like. And this is not bad. Like, there are some cards that drop substantially, but the worst set I can ever remember was Battle Styles. Battle Styles, for example, you saw drops of 70, 80% pretty much across the board for a lot of cards. Vivid Voltage was also really bad, but the main reason Vivid Voltage was so bad was because nobody had any idea of what the hit rates looked like for Amazing Rares. Amazing Rares were this new concept, and people didn't understand that you were going to pull 3 of them per booster box, and you couldn't understand it until you actually started opening up booster boxes. So then we saw some huge dramatic drops. Same thing with Shining Fates. Shining Fates got absolutely destroyed opening week because there were a lot more singles that hit the secondary market. This is not really that bad. Usually you're seeing 60, 70%. Right now, that Mewtwo, for example, only down about 8%. So it started out $411.75. That was the market price opening week. It did drop further than this. You can see right now the market price on Mewtwo $379.19. So that's what I pulled last night. It actually had gone down to like $340, even a little bit lower than that, but then started creeping up a little bit. And before we jump into things too far, right now is not necessarily the time to buy Destined Rivals. If we're looking at past indicators and we're looking at Surging Sparks and we're looking at Journey Together, right now for those two sets, we are seeing singles that have dropped tremendously, 30, 40% over the past couple months. Some of them, like Journey Together, dropping 20%, double-digit percent drops over the last month. Now is probably the time where you really want to start looking at Surging Sparks and Journey Together singles if you're trying to master those sets or add to your collection from those sets. Now is not necessarily the time to be picking up a lot of Destined Rivals singles. You may want to wait until Black Bolt or White Flare come out, and then these will settle a little bit more. It's very difficult. You don't really want to buy opening weekend, but you also don't want to buy any more like the week after or 2 weeks after. It's going to take a little bit longer for the market to settle. Once we get Black Bolt and White Flare out, I think that's probably going to be a good time to look at Destined Rivals singles a little bit closer. But Team Rocket's Mewtwo did drop considerably. Now it started coming back up a little bit. So the current market price on that is $379.19 according to TCG Player. So it's down about 8%, which really isn't bad at all. The Cynthia's Garchomp, that's the second most expensive card in the set. Currently down about 22%. So it dropped from 248.75 on opening day down to 193.80. So a significant drop, but not terrible. 22% is not bad. The third most expensive card in the set currently is Ho-Oh EX. It was Moltres for a while, but Moltres actually didn't sell anything. It's not even on this because it didn't sell anything for a market price to be a established. It didn't start getting sales and generating sales until it dropped far enough down to like that $200 price point. Then it started actually getting sales, but the Moltres started out a lot more expensive and did not establish a market price right away, pre-release or even Friday morning, for example. So once it got undercut enough, then it started producing some sales. Ended up sneaking in there as the third most expensive, but now it has dropped a little bit below the Ho-Oh. It's kind of battling back and forth there, but the Ho-Oh, Ethan's Ho-Oh, started out at $207.49 on Friday morning. It's down to $151.67, so it has dropped about 27% over opening week. The last card, like that was it for $100 cards. Like we talked about the Moltres, that's not on here. That's over $100. But now the Nidoking was the last card to be above $100. Now it's fallen below that. So those 4 cards right there currently above $100. Everything else is less than $100. Definitely a sign that things are going to continue to drop. But very cool artwork across the board. Beautiful card. So if you're somebody who's like, well, I'm not going to open the set, or I'm only going to open it at MSRP, I'm going to have to buy a lot of singles. Personally, I would wait a little bit. Obviously, I'm buying them because of the master set that we're giving away, but I wouldn't recommend buying a ton of them right now. 137.47 is where the Nidoking started out at. It's dropped about 30%, which is not bad at all, down to about 96.54. The Crobat has dropped a decent amount. Crobat and the Mewtwo, the gold Mewtwo right there. So the Crobat, beautiful artwork. I do like it a lot. Started out probably a little bit more expensive than what the market really says it's worth. So 135.72 is where it started out at. Now it's dropped over 52%, which is kind of normal. That's pretty normal for a new set release. Once you start getting higher than like 60%, that's a substantial drop. But lower than 50%, anywhere between 50 and 60% is fairly normal. Down about 52.35%, so down to about $64.67 right now. The Team Rocket's Mewtwo Hyper Rare did start out very expensive, much more expensive, I think, than a lot of people thought it would. 131.06, very cool card. I do like the Hyper Rare cards with the trainer silhouettes in the background. I think it looks really cool, but this one dropped about 55% opening week, so now it's down to $58.74 and continuing to fall. The Ethan's Adventure Special Illustration Rare was close to $100 at opening day, but a little bit below it, $95.64. That one's dropped about 43%, 42.5%, down to $54.87. The Misty Psyduck, that is the most expensive illustration rare and continues to be. It didn't even drop that bad, so $67.03 is where it started out on an opening day, down to about $54 right now, so less than 20%. Anytime you have a single that drops less than 20% opening week, that's actually pretty strong. So down about 19.44%, down to $54, continuing to be the most expensive illustration rare. The Team Rocket's Giovanni started out at $63.32. That one's down to about $33.43, so that one's dropped 47%. The Yanmega, that one's a little bit more substantial of a drop, so very close to $60 opening day, dropped down to $25.05. Yanmega is starting out, like early returns on Yanmega is that it is relatively competitive. We will see what it does when we actually get to like NAIC, but Yanmega early results, not bad at all as far as competitive play goes. I don't know if that's really going to be a driving factor because a lot of competitive players will use the lowest rarity, but $59.99 on that one. It's dropped down to $25.05, so it's lost about 58%, which is pretty substantial. Arvin's Mabostiff started out at $50. This is one actually creeped up a little bit. It was at $24 a few days ago. Now it's back up to $30.27. So a lot of these cards are kind of going in a roller coaster fashion right now, which is why you really want to wait it out a little bit. If you can find, like I said, booster packs at MSRP, and there's no guarantee for that to happen, but if you're out and about, a lot of people have found restocks and things like that, and you want to rip, that's great. But focusing on singles rather than buying, at market price is probably the best route to go, but still waiting a little bit for these things to level off a little bit, because they are very roller coaster-esque right now. $50 down to $30.27, so about 39%, 39.5% of a drop on that one. The Ethan's Ho-Oh Gold Hyper Rare, $49.98 is where it started. It's down about 43.5%, down to $28.24. The Team Rocket's Meowth Illustration Rare, very cool looking card, down about 34% over opening week. So it went from $44.38 down to $29.38. The Hyper Rare Team Rocket's Crobat, this one started out at $44.33. Again, little substantial on the drop on this one, 56.64%, down to $19.22. The Team Rocket's Mewtwo has gone back up a little bit, so this one was down to about $25. This is very similar to what we saw with Lily's Clefairy, that full art variant, which is now currently at like $10, $11. I don't know if the Rocket's Mewtwo Mewtwo will get that low. It might get to like $18 at some point in the future. It really depends on how well it does in competitive play. $42.57 was the market price on opening day. It's dropped to $33.34, so about 21.68%, but it was lower than that, so it has regained some steam. Misty's Lapras, the second most expensive or third most expensive illustration rare right now. $41.53 is where it came out of the gates. Now it's down to $30.41, so it's lost about 26.5%, 27%. The Ethan's Typhlosion doing really well. It's up about 24% from where it started at opening day. It started out at $39.50, and you can see that race to the bottom actually happening. That $39.50 was the market price that was established, but then you got new listings that came in that pushed it down as low as sold copies of at $32.98. But now the market price has reestablished a little bit. Obviously, a favorite from a lot of people. It's jumped up to $49.03, so it's gained about 24% over the first week. The Shaman's dropped about 50%, which isn't terrible, but not great. I mean, the Shaman is a cool looking card, but $38.83 probably priced up a little bit higher than what I think a lot of people were comfortable spending, which is why you see listings as low as $25 on opening day. Now it's dropped down to $19.48, so about 50% drop on that one. The Cynthia's Garchomp Ultra Rare has gotten destroyed. These are big drops right here. These are big drops. So 71.13% started out at $37.83. Now it's down to $10.92. 71% is a very substantial drop. Same thing with the Team Rocket's Persian EX. That one started out just south of $35, but now almost 80% drop on that one. That's a big one, down to $7 and a penny. The Team Rocket's Houndoom, another really cool illustration rare, still a little bit pricey at $20, but much better than where it was at opening day. You can see lowest listings opening day as low as $19. The market price was established at $31.15. It's dropped about 36% opening week, so down to $20 right now. The Blaziken started out at $29.78. That's dropped just over 40%, down to $17.78. And the Cynthia's Roserade, another really cool illustration rare, hanging right around $20 right now. It started out at $29.17. It's dropped about 34%, so it's down to $19.32 currently. The Kangaskhan, $24.80 is where it started at opening day. It's lost about half of that value, so 50.69% of a drop, down to $12.23. The Hydrapple illustration rare has been pretty destroyed. That one's down 77%. Started out a little bit higher, so 24.17 or $24.17 is where it started. Now it's down to $5.56. There are some cheaper illustration rares if you want to start snatching some of those up. Hydrapple would be a good example of that. Hyper rare items don't do as well anymore. Jamming Tower started out at $23. That one's down to $18.98, but still not too bad of a drop, about 17.5% on that one. Ethan's Adventure, again, full arts don't do the same as what they used to. $21.03 on that one opening day. Now it's down to $8.13, so it's dropped about 61%. The Team Rocket's Moltres full art, that one started out at $20.10. It's lost over half of its value, down to $9.11. So that one's lost almost 55%. Lavincia Hyper Rare, that one started out at $18.99. Now it's down to $10.10, so that one's almost 47% down. Ethan's Ho-Oh EX, that one started out at $18.96. It's down to $11.66, so that one's lost 38.5%. The Weezing, another cool illustration rare, started out a little bit cheaper, $17.91. It's lost 34% of that value, so it's down to $11.82. Petrol right here started out at $17.63. Now it's down to $6.15. That's a 65% drop. That's pretty substantial. The Giovanni, not that bad. The full art Giovanni started out at $16.40, which is a little bit cheaper, down to $11.37 right now. So that's 30.67% of a drop. Some of these pre-release cards have done really well, like this Misty's Gyarados. These are in those build and battle kits, which have not officially been released yet. They've only been released in the pre-order stores. They get the product 2 weeks early, so that way they can hold pre-release events. And then normal stores, retail stores, big box retailers, they get them 2 weeks after release. So these should be coming out next week. So if you were looking for these at some point, these pre-release kit promos, they should go down in price starting next Friday when they officially release. $15.54 is where that Gyarados started out at. It's down about 11%, so it's down to $13.86 right now. The Rapidash illustration rare started out at $14.60. It's down to $10.52, so that's lost about 26%. Ethan's Typhlosion, that pre-release is actually up almost 35%. It started out at $12.95. It's up to $17.44. Team Rocket's Nidoking started out at $12.12 for that full art. Now it's down to $7.72, which is relatively inexpensive, down about 36%. The Rotom illustration rare, kind of a cool looking card, a little bit cheaper, so not too bad for an illustration rare, down to $5.56 currently. It's dropped 53% from where it started out on an opening day, which was $11.87. Team Rocket's Raticate is down about 12%. It started out at $10.93. It's down to $9.60. Team Rocket's Archer started out at $10.18. cents. It's lost almost half its value, so it's down to $5.50, down about 46%. Team Rocket's Murkrow is down only at 1.2%. So this one started out relatively cheap. Very cool background, kind of reminiscent of like the Persian from Shout of Fable. Started out at $10. It's down to $9.87, so relatively flat opening week. The Spidops, really cool looking card, $9.89 when it started, which is not too bad. A lot of people do like this card. It's up about 25.5% over the first week, so it's at $12.43. Currently, the Mimikyu pre-release card, that one's up almost 5% to $10.24. The Proton, that one's down 20%, so not too bad of a drop on that one either. $9.74 down to $7.76. MC's Hype started out at $9.58. It's all the way down to $3.88, so almost a 60% drop. 59.5% on that one is very substantial. And same thing with the Electivire. A lot of these full arts, they do not hold their own very well, especially if they don't have the trainer silhouette in the background. $8.97 is where this started at. It fell down 71%, down to $2.58. Team Rocket's Ariana started out at $8.58. It's currently sitting at $8.65, so really flat opening week, almost up 1 percentage point. Arvin's Greedent started out at $8.08. It's down 43% to $4.60. Clamperl, relatively inexpensive illustration rare from the get-go. It only started out at $6.86. Now it's sitting at $5.11. So that one's dropped about 25.5%. The Yanma lost about 14% opening week, but started out relatively inexpensive. So from $6.74 down to $5.77. And then you've got some of the more competitive cards like Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which is down 16%. Team Rocket's Mewtwo, which is down just over 7%. You do have the battle decks for the Grimmsnarl. That's going to hurt the value a little bit. We will get a Rocket's Mewtwo box eventually. That's going to hurt the value of that a little bit. And again, it really depends on how these cards perform in competitive play. Team Rocket's Crobat started out at $6.35. It's down to $4.74. So that one's lost about 25%. Zamazenta went from $6.26 up to $7.87. Started out a little bit more inexpensive. So that one's jumped almost 26% opening week. Here's the Tyranitar pre-release card. That one went from $6.11 all the way up to $22.92. That one's up 275%, which is insane. The Full Art Titan went from $5.86 down to $2.49. That's a 57% drop. And then these last three here, the Yanmega started out at $5. It's lost half its value, down to $2.51. Electrike, a much less expensive illustration rare, started at $4.87. It's down to $3.78. So that's a 22.38% drop. And Crustle went from $4.81 down to $3.92, which is down 18.5%. Overall, not too bad, right? Like a lot of 20% drops, 30% drops. You don't see as many of the 70 to 80% drops, but some of them are starting to rebound. Very inconsistent right now, very volatile right now, and that's why you really want to be careful where you're putting your collection budget. Don't overspend. If we're learning anything from singles from Journey Together and Surging Sparks, it's that some of the more expensive ones should continue to fall, especially as more and more packs hit the market, more and more cards get opened. So don't panic, don't FOMO, give it time, and it'll get better. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a long way for the algorithm, but ultimately just thank you for being here. I love you guys. We'll be back on Sunday with a Master Set update. Until next time, guys, peace.